Hey there friends, what's up? Kevin here from the MSOTD Rocks YouTube channel, and today is the first day of the 2020 year-end awards with a brand new category. This is taking a look at the top 10 albums from emerging rock and metal bands in the scene today. Before we get started though, please follow MSOTD Rocks on places like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Anytime a video comes out on YouTube, you'll be notified along with the podcast videos. We also put out our 30-second song of the day feature, so a lot of these bands have been featured on our platform before for you to get into, so please be sure you're following all those platforms. You get a little taste of what these bands are about and helps you really get into them. We also post a lot of different questions on our pages as well to connect with you. And on Instagram, we do our IGTV videos every single Tuesday night at around 7-8 p.m. Central. It's a behind-the-scenes look at what you can expect from us going forward and what we're doing here. And every single Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, we go live on Instagram for 1 hour for you to come hang out with us, talk, have a great time. Please also subscribe to this YouTube channel because not only is this the first day of the year-end awards, you want to make sure that you are notified every single time a video comes out for the year-end awards. We also do a lot of other videos during the year, like album reviews for these albums. We do the Kevin Figures Out series where I try and figure out certain bands I'm not that well versed in. We do special videos around the emerging bands in the scene today. We do some top 10 lists. It's all great, so please subscribe to this YouTube channel. And please also subscribe to the Chord Progression podcast, which is on this YouTube channel, also on Spotify Podcasts, Google Play, and iHeart Radio. It is our very own podcast. We're interviewing all the emerging rock and metal bands in the scene today. Every single band on this will be on the podcast at some point in 2020, or they've already have been on there, so be sure to check it out and you get an in-depth look at these bands that you won't find anywhere else. Please subscribe, like, follow, share with everybody else. Enough with that, let's get on to it. So why are we doing this category now for the first year? And we've always been big on supporting the emerging and upcoming bands in the scene because this is the future of rock and metal. We want to get you guys into them now so when they're big, you guys can always have breaking rights to your friends and say, hey, I knew about them earlier. We started this with Small Band Saturday, where on our platforms we would feature a song from a smaller emerging band every single Saturday. Well, because of the Chord Progression podcast and because we're interviewing a lot of these bands, we decided to make Saturday the day we're featuring their music as well, along with sprinkling in during the week at the same time. So you guys always get a taste of that even if you forget about them on the podcast. But what are the criteria going forward for this? One thing I want to say is just always think Spotify listeners, think around like 300,000 monthly or below, just kind of as a benchmark. Or it could be a band's freshman album, like their first album ever coming out, because yeah, they're rookies. That's basically kind of what this is. It's either rookies or emerging. Now, when the best albums of 2020 come out, could you see some of these albums show up? Absolutely you could. It is a no-brainer because think about it in terms of sports. Could a Rookie of the Year win MVP? Absolutely. Could a not Rookie of the Year win Rookie of the Year? No. So these bands and these albums could potentially show up later on at the end of the awards season with the best album of the year. But enough with that, let's go with number 10. Coming at number 10, we have Operation Takeover by the girls at GFM, aka Gold, Franklins, and Murph. The EP came out on September 5th, and it is the follow-up to their Oh the Horror EP, which was released in 2019. Their beautycore style is like a mix between Paramore and Day to Remember, so you're going to get that pop-punk style, but you're going to get a lot of different stuff to be mixed in there as well. I did review the EP on release, and I gave it a 5.5 out of 10. However, I've grown to like it a little bit more since the release. Why did I like it was because in the song, like I Don't Need Your Fantasy, they mix in more of a punk rock sense where the verses had this hard-hitting snare feel and this chanting upfront, brash, in-your-face style vocal that I really did enjoy because it brought back that rougher punk sense. Then you go to the chorus on this song as well, and it's more refined. It's also kind of chanting in your face as well, but it's more refined punk sense, and that blend really did work well for the girls. Then you look at a song like Selfish, where they really bring in more of this refined pop punk style that's a little bit smooth, a little bit more downtrodden at the same time as well, but it also has that pop punk flavor, a lot like Still Waiting by Sum 41. I really like the mixture on this one. And then the song Smile, which at first I really wasn't that big of a fan of, however it's really grown on me because they really captured the energy and drive that That's the Spirit by Bring Me the Horizon really did. Or no, not That's the Spirit, Happy Song, my bad. I always think S-P-I-R-I-T, Spirit, let's hit it. But they do S-M-I-L-E. they really try and make it their own, and they really do with this one. It is an anthemic powerhouse that I know the girls are going to bring down the houses whenever they play it live. But why is it at number 10 and not higher? Well, one of the biggest things I was a little bit concerned about with this album was the fact that some of the blending on all the different styles they're bringing in there, especially in songs like Bones and Takeover, really didn't blend as smoothly or didn't blend as well as they have in the past. They did a lot of the blending on the Operation Takeover EP, and they did a lot on the Oh the Horde EP as well. I think they did it better on Oh the Horde than Operation Takeover. However, this is not a bad outing from the girls at all. I'm really excited to see what they do going forward, and if you want to check them out on the podcast, yeah, go do it. At number 9, we have Sell Your Sins, the 4th ever studio album from the Minnesota band Throw the Fight. It was released on August 7th, 2020, and this is the first album with Cade Katz as their lead vocalist. He was the bassist in the band before, but now he's taking on lead vocals. So what I like about this album, and at only a 32-minute long release, I love the energy that was behind it because they had a little bit of a lighter style on this in terms of what they had done in the past. However, it really brought more of this energy, more of this great, fantastic, upbeat rap vibe that really did mix in well with a lot more of their style. And a lot of this was driven by Cade Katz's vocals because comparing to former vocalist James Clark, he'll show up later on, but comparing it to him, Cade has this lighter, more flowy kind of style that you're not getting a lot of the screams in, so you're going to get a different feel from Throw the Fight with Cade as the lead vocals. And I think it did turn out well because a lot of the songs flow together really nicely. A lot of the songs really had this anthemic feel to it that you really would like, but they had that upbeat kind of vibe that really makes you feel, you know, all warm and tingly inside. Take a look at the titular song, Settle Your Sins, and I really think you'll get a great deal from this. It was a good outing from Cade on this one. But why isn't Settle Your Sins higher than number 9? And I think it has to do with when you really run through the album, you're going to get a good sameness feel to it. And what I mean by that is, at times, Show the Fight does tease you with some different experimentation, some different blending, but it's just that, it's just a tease. Take a look at a song like Heart of Gold, where they started with this more melodic intro, then they go back into the standard, more higher beat, faster pace, just more energetic kind of feel. And I would love to see what they did with that melodic sense with Cade's vocals. Then take a look at Watch It Burn, where you're going to get this harder, heavier instrumentation that really could have been used at some point, that I thought could have been used at some point. Then they go back again to what they had done with Cade, and I really would like to see Cade go with some harder and heavier instrumentation. However, this does not mean that this is a bad release. It's a rather good release from the band as well. Plus, I think that teasing some of that experimentation, I can't wait to see what Throw the Fight does going further with Cade's vocal sense, because I think it can really blend well with some of these things. Now at number 8, we have Aurora by Median. This album came out earlier in 2020, and this is probably the smallest band that we have on here with their metalcore styles out of Italy. You're going to see a good amount of this on here. But why was this album good? It was because of the style of metalcore that Median goes with. I like to say they go with a lighter metalcore style, but what I mean by that is they go with that classic instrumentation where you're going to get some heavier bass, some really heavy drumming as well, but it's the guitar tones which are different on this one, and they have this higher tuned feel to it, a little bit more higher pitch feel to it, so it has a little bit of a lighter sense to it, and it really does well to play off the contrast of that heavier, harder hitting vocal style when they go with unclean vocals, but also the cleaner style when they, in comparison, when they go with a more clean style. But that heavier instrumentation really does work out well. It allows a lot of people to get into metalcore a lot easier, in my opinion, because you're mixing more of a lighter sound. You're not going to give them that heavy brash sound, because I know when I was getting into metalcore, it was hard for me to get into that heavier brash sound. That's why I'm thankful when I got into it. I started with Motionless in White and Architect's Holy Hell, so I got a good mix of that. Well, Architect's Holy Hell, Motionless in White, yeah, you get the opinion. But when it comes to a lighter metalcore sense, take a look at songs like Wings of the Broken and When Autumn Falls. You're really going to get that great mixture in there, especially with how the higher tuned guitar really works out well. Then you get a song like Breathing, where it's heavy, it's impactful, it's in your face, and it's brutal. But that higher pitched guitar really has a great contrast to it, and I think it really does play out well for me. If you're taking a look at an album this year that also compares to this lighter metalcore style, take a look at The Path by Fit for a King, especially in a song like Locked in My Head. I think it's a great example for it. But why is it coming at number 8? And honestly, Median did a really good job with this one. I think there were just 7 albums that were better than it from emerging bands in the scene today. At number 7, we have the album The Sinner by the band Kill the Lights. This came out on August 21st, 2020, and was formed by former Bullet for My Valentine drummer Moose Thomas, and Throw the Fight's ex-vocalist James Clark. Told you to be making a comeback. So what I liked about this album, was they really were trying to do as much as they could with their style and really try and figure out and try and do a lot of experimentation. I really thought it worked out well because you got a different sense from the band and what they're trying to go for. At times they went with different things, like with a more melodic sound on Shed My Skin, more of a rock ballad on a song like Tear Me Apart, thrash colliding with metalcore on a song like The Enemy, and Plague just had this incredible mix of heavier instrumentation and also melodic vocals in the chorus. That was a great mixture. Plus, having James Clark on this album as a vocalist really allowed the band to take a lot of different liberties and try new things because of his range as a vocalist. Plus, when I talked to him on the podcast, he was telling me about how this album was just driven off of a lot of the struggles he had with mental health, and that was where a lot of the lyrics came from. And with that emotionally charged lyrics, you really get connected to this album because you feel the emotion in his voice, you feel the emotion through the instrumentation as well, and you're able to kind of get a look at what he went through and kind of relate it to stuff that you went through as well and really make that connection there. I'm always a huge proponent of bands doing this, and James Clark absolutely nailed it on this one. So why is this album at 7? And when I really look at it, I remember Kerrang only gave it a 2 out of 5, and I'm trying to figure out why. And I think I figured out to the point where this album didn't have any just like straight in your face bangers that just destroyed everything else around it. So this album was a very good mixture of a lot of different things. Plus, with the band it being their first album and especially working on it during a pandemic, yeah, they're trying to figure out their styles and their sounds as well. So I think they were figuring out their core sound in this one, and they did. Plus, having a lot of those emotional styles, so allowed them to play around with a lot more things. So it felt like this album at times could have been in one place or another. However, I do think they found that core sound, and I am super excited for Kill Light's second album whenever it comes out because I think they have that base now set, they have the idea set, and they're able to take off.
I don't think you wanna stay.
Coming number 6, I have the album Distance by the band Boys of Fall. This album was released on November 20th, 2020, and this Michigan band had decided to go in a completely different direction on this album than what they previously did, and I think that was an absolute win for them on this album. When you take a look at it and listen to it, their style on Distant reminds me sort of like an I Prevail mix, but nowhere near what I Prevail does. So what I mean by that is, when you take a listen to their music, they really have more of this alternative rock, alt-rock, somewhat pop-punky bass at times, more alt-rock though. And then they mix it with some heavier, more melodic metalcore instrumentation. And I really like what they do here because with that more melodic metalcore instrumentation, it's rough, it's heavy, it's in your face, but it's very emotional at the same time as well. And when they go with more of an alternative rock style, they're able to play with many different tones, many different slower pacings, and it really matches up with a lot of different things on this album, and it really matches with the emotions. So when I listened to this album, I thought, man, Boys of Fall really found something for themselves, and I'm glad they did. Take a look at a couple songs. Take a look at Distance, where it has more of the slower melodic simplistic electric guitar style. It has an emo ballad feel to it, so you're gonna get a different feel on Distance than you would any other song. And Overthinking, it kind of takes more of this distraught pop vibe that kind of sounds like a deeper, more hard rock inspired something like this. You know, think Coldplay and the Chainsmokers. It's really weird, but it kind of works out in a way. And Heavy Heart takes more of this melodic pop punk feel to it, and it creates more of a deep feel with the faster pace and ups the urgency of the song. But what really makes these songs stand out is when the unclean vocals come in, because they give you this raw emotional brashness, just in your face feel that plays in contrast with the sounds, but the melodic part of it really gives you the connection that comes into the rest of the song. So these songs are blended well together, and they understood that with a more alternative rock and metalcore sound at the same time. So why is it at 6 and not in the top 5? You guys know me, I tend to like that harder rock, punk rock, metalcore stuff, so some of that stuff connects more with me, so that's why I put it more in the top 5. But don't get me wrong, Distance is an album you're gonna have to check out. Please do.
I'm flying too close to the sound of swimming through these times of a home.
Coming number 5, we have Anna by the band Wildways. This Russian metalcore band released this album on October 30th, 2020. And I didn't find out about it until I got a chance to interview Tolly, their lead singer, on the Chord Progression podcast. And when I listened to the album, I'm like, this is awesome. So what ended up happening with this album was, it's a metalcore album, but it's a lot more than I initially thought, because when you start out this album, you're gonna get this rougher, more brash, in-your-face, harder metalcore style, which I absolutely love on songs like Hyena Everest and Event Horizon. Honestly, listen to Event Horizon because that song might end up on the top 10 songs of the year. I absolutely love that song with its mixture between clean and unclean vocals and just how it all plays out. But then as the album went on, Wildways took a little bit more liberties and kind of mixing some certain things up that was throwing me off a bit, but I thought it was pretty dang cool at the same time. Take a look at a song like Bombs and Kisses, where it really focused on a soft feel with more melodic sound and had a piano bass in there, which really brought out more of this ballad but also epic style at the same time as well. And they kind of use some electronic influences to give their song the cosmic feel. Kind of think like what Falling in Reverse did on the Coming Home album, but they kind of kept that heavier bass in there, so it really did connect a lot with the beginning parts album, which I really didn't like. So there was that connection there. Plus, Tully also used Russian lyrics and English lyrics at the same time as well. And I love what he did here because especially with those Russian lyrics, even though I'm not able to understand what it is, just the pure emotion and raw vibe I get from that vocal sense and from that power, I know exactly what the dude's talking about, even though I have no idea what he's saying. I can feel it, and it's incredible. So why does this album end up at number 5? If there's any knock on this album, it's when it comes from that English and Russian lyrical style, because when Tully speaks in Russian, the emotion is so much there. It is incredible, and that's what he gets from being a Russian native speaker. When it comes to English, though, there are some times where the emotion just doesn't necessarily come out as fully. Both me and my buddy Chris, when we were talking about something, we kind of agreed on that, but it wasn't something that was severely lacking. It was just a little blip on the radar. So that's why it's coming in at number 5, but this is still an incredible album. You guys should check it out. Coming in at number 4, we have the album Art of Being Human by the Italian alt-metal metalcore band Elyne. This album was released earlier in 2020, and what is incredible about this album is when you listen to it, you're going to get this incredible mix, and it all derives off of Daniel's vocal style. Their lead singer Daniel, he has this vocal style where he goes unclean. The dude reminds me of Tim Lambesis, that's from As I Lay Dying. It is incredible with that raw, impactful energy. So they're able to go work and with so many different, faster paced, harder hitting styles, double bass kicks, just really get with that raw, physical, intense emotion. But when Daniel sings clean, holy moly, does this dude remind me of Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge. It's melodic, it's powerful, it has this little bit of a higher pitch to it, and when they go with it, they kind of go a little bit more alt metal and bring it back and go with a more melodic style on those clean vocals. Just, it makes it pop so well. But the fact that you have this great connection in it, just the same vocal style from one person, from unclean and clean, and it allows these instrumentations to really wrap around it, yeah, it's good. Take a look at a couple songs that show this. Take a look at the song Light It Up featuring Aaron Pauli, where most of the song is more clean from Daniel at this point, but they go with a more melodic sense, and they do also vary the pacings on their instrumentals up a lot as well. And it just shows the power that the band has, not always going with that raw, physical, just in-your-face kind of style that I really did like. And this song like Ithaca, where the intro riff has a kind of alt-metal beauty that leads straight into this just absolute metalcore smoke show. I mean, it's unclean, it's rough, the instrumentation is fast, the double kicks are there, and it's just like, yeah, this is awesome. And the chorus gives us again that Alter Bridge feel. But what's amazing about it is just the transitions that go from one piece to another, where this song does not sound like it's chopped up. It sounds like everything fits together so well. I'm a huge fan of this. And then you get to Memento Vivere, which is their last song on the album, and it all kind of has this very standard Elyne feel where the instrumentals and the verses and the vocals are very harder, much more metalcore, more faster paced. Then you get a cleaner, more melodic kind of style with the chorus. However, it's just the intro, it has this piano riff in there that just makes you think, wait, what the heck are they going for? Then it just transitions so well into everything, and it's built off of that piano riff. It's very experimental, but it was their moment to be experimental, and they absolutely hit the nail on the head. Now, why is this coming in at number 4? I really do like this album. You guys, again, should go check it out. I think there was a punk rock album that came in better, and an Italian metalcore album that came in better, and an American hard rock alt metal album that came in better. I just think there were 3 that were better than this one, so let's get into them. Coming number 3 of the band Ghost in the Shadows by the New York punk band Rebelmatic. This album came out on August 28th, 2020, and why I like it so much is because, yeah, you guys know me, I like punk rock. But there's always a little bit of flavor that I need in there to really amp it up. And Rebelmatic absolutely hits a nail on the head because their bass isn't punk rock, but they take so many different liberties into blending in so many different styles that their vocalist Creature on the Chord Progression podcast told me, look out for all these different styles. And when I was listening to it, I was picking apart left and right, but they were so incredibly well done. They mix in some skate punk, some 80s hardcore on a song like Blood and Stone. They mix in some smooth jazz and insult to injury. They mix in some hip hop. And then on Emergency Brake, they mix in some funk in there. You're like, wait, funk and punk? What the heck? But it worked out so well, because why they worked out well is the fact that Creature and the rest of the guys, they understand the construction and the bass behind all of these different sounds, all these different styles, and they blend it all in there by making sure that everything is blended and there's a consistent matching part in there. Most of the time, they really match the pacing of these styles with the rest of the punk songs they were going with. So it really created this real dynamic punk rock track that I think you guys should definitely take a listen to, because it's dynamic as all hell. It was awesome. Speaking of Creature, even taking a look at his vocal set, it does work out well, because he reminds me kind of like if LeJean Witherspoon from Seven Dust would go punk rock. He really brings out this brash, but also this deeper, heavier vibe to his lyrics and to his vocals that really works and makes this album just absolutely pop overall. And when you take a look at certain songs, he knows exactly, again, how these songs are constructed, how these influences are constructed, and how his vocal set can really match up and just excel in all these different places and make these songs really pop. Take a look at a song like Emergency Brake, where it does have that funk inspiration to it, where again, you're thinking funk and punk, this ain't gonna work out well. But you listen to it and then you see that it does. Then take a look at a song like Pinky Promise and Avenger, and he comes across this rougher, but yet more energetic and somewhat clean style of vocal. Kind of like when Dave Grohl gets angry and sings. Like, it really does work out well here. But why is Webpage Ghost of Shadow at number 3? I still think the top 2 albums are top 10 of the year contenders. So, yeah, then they better be top 2. But who are they? Coming number 2, we have the album God Made Hell by the band Stain the Canvas. This album came out back on February 14th, 2020, and why I like this album from this Italian metalcore band, their debut. Imagine Bring Me the Horizon Sempiternal, but imagine Bring Me the Horizon kept with that more emo metalcore style going forward. Yeah, that's exactly what Stain the Canvas did here, and it is absolutely incredible, and I have to speak to it where they do have this great metalcore sense, but there are 3 major points that really work out well here. One is Brian, their lead singer's vocals, especially when he goes unclean. And the reason it's awesome is because for the most part, he does go unclean. He does have that cleaner, raspier kind of sound on a scream that Oli Sykes had on Shadow Moses, which really does fit in well with a lot of what they're doing. But when he really goes unclean, it kind of has like this weird raspy, real like whisper raspy kind of scream and growl. And it is one of the coolest things ever, because it hits you with this just ferociousness that I have not heard really any other unclean vocalist hit me than Brian did on this one. It was immensely huge, and it's just like, oh my god, I need to get more of this. Even take a look at how they do the clean vocals on this one. They really don't do a lot of clean vocals, but if they do, it's usually most of the band doing some sort of chant. And I look at that, I'm just like, wait, what? And it just adds so much more to it, because it adds this grander, more theatrical epicness to the sound just from the vocals, just from doing that. It gives you this more Latin, Latin culture, Roman inspired kind of stuff. I'm thinking Latin, the language. But it gives you that sort of just power, that rawness, and that epicness that just adds in there. Plus, they put a lot of that into their music as well with the theatrical style, and I absolutely love it because it makes these songs seem a lot more larger than life than you could ever imagine. I mean, take a look at a song like Hell Made Me, where you have the strings that come in here that just add so much more to just the epicness of it. The piano intro in Like a God and how they build off that riff adds to that epicness that just goes on there. And then the chanting in the chorus from Fear from Nowhere, oh my god, that is one of my favorite songs from the year. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the top 10 though, but my god, is it good. But why does this album come in at number 2? Man, this album was great. But there is one album that I heard this year that was just something that blew me away completely. And man, when I say an album is the best debut since Hybrid Theory, we got something here. Hey guys, before we get to the number 1 album from an emerging rock or metal band in the scene today for 2020, I do want to call out one that I didn't find out about until after I made the list and shot the video. Is a band called Dragged Under with their album The World Is In Your Way. It came out in January of 2020. And the reason I'm calling out is because they have a real crisp, dynamic metalcore sound that I think you guys should definitely check out if you have the chance. And their Christmas song in there is pretty freaking rad. So go check it out. They are the only honorable mention I'm going to include here because I found about them just a little too late. So sorry guys, but I want to make sure I gave you a shout out on this one because you definitely deserve it. The best album from 2020 from an emerging band in the scene today, and the one I said was basically the best debut that I've heard since Hybrid Theory, is Rise Is Equals by the band SAUL. They came out to them on October 23rd, 2020, and they've been huge players on SiriusXM Octane pretty much for the whole second half of 2020. Now, why is this album fantastic? When you take a look at SAUL's sound, they have this like alt-metal hard rock sound that they kind of mix in with some more melodic senses to there. But why they have such a great sound is no two songs in this album really sound the same. Just knowing that and knowing how to drive it up made this album just fresh every step of the way through. Plus, when you look at each song, there's a different thing on each song that's going to make it stand out. The drumming in the chorus on Brother is something I was absolutely amazed by because everything was so all over the place and so dynamic, but it made so much sense in having it in there. The guitars in the verses on songs like Sticks and Stones where it went more of like a metalcore style. Oh my god, it was absolutely insane. It just worked out so well and just blaring it right in your face at the same time as well, and just give you this song a whole new mix. Then, comparing and contrasting the vocal sense along with the guitars and the drums and Trial by Fire, there was so much going on there, but it made so much sense, especially when you listen to the pre-chorus versus the chorus. Oh my god, just the changing up in there. One other thing I liked about this album was the fact that they did a lot of times where they had some faster pacings and faster instrumentation, but then with more melodic vocal sense. And I've seen this go wrong, but I've seen this go right. My favorite band, Rise Against, does this right almost every single time. And SAUL absolutely hit the nail on the head with this one. Was this so dang good? Yes, it was. One thing that really makes SAUL stand out above the rest on this one is the fact that they understand how to drive emotion in every single one of their songs, where they understand how to tweak everything and make everything sound so that what they're trying to explain really hits you impactfully. So you give that tangible thought, that tangible feel to an intangible thing that when you're trying to tell it to somebody. Take a look at a song like King of Misery, which talks about the brothers losing their mother to an illness. I can't remember what it is, but I don't want to, speak too bad of it because I really don't know. And looking at everything that their father was going through. So this song, which was co-written with David Draymond and Disturbed, had this more melodic but also deeper feel to it. So it had this depression sort of wash over you when you listen to it, and it really does hit well. Then the song Brother, which was written about the two brothers of SAUL losing their younger brother Caleb and just trying to come to terms with it, it really does so well with it because it kind of gives me a feel like a melodic Breaking Benjamin song, but there is so much more going on with the instrumentation where you're really feeling like this is the time when they are just calling out to their brother saying, I just want to talk to you one more time and just see if you're proud of me and see if I did everything right, if there's anything that needs to be left said, like just having that one more chance and having the pain of never having that chance. It just comes out so well in this song, and the dynamics, the instrumentals really amp up the feeling of going through those emotions all at the same time as well. When the bridge of the song just really takes it out, when you hear Blake just scream out Brother, it is absolutely incredible. And then even with Sticks and Stones, with just the harder instrumentation on there, it brings on more of this impactful, just in-your-face, blaring kind of stuff that was not seen anywhere else on the album, but it made so much sense. I absolutely love this. Again, I said that Rise Is Equals by SAUL was one of the best debuts I've seen, probably the best since Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park, and that is a huge thing, and I stand by that. Could this album end up on the top 10 of 2020 completely for best albums? Yeah, it's going to be on there. I can guarantee you that. How high? We'll see. But man, was this good. Once concerts returned in 2021, bands like Stain the Canvas, Elyne, Rebelmatic, SAUL definitely, Throw the Fight, Kill the Lights, all these bands that I mentioned. Please make sure you check them out. Please check out their music right now if you haven't. And that's me for me today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. If you agree with our list or disagree with our list, please put in the comments what your list would have been, who you thought of these bands, what you thought of them, and if you're going to go listen to a lot. Again, links in the description are going to be there for you guys to stream all their music. Thanks for watching and listening. This is Kevin from the MSOTD Rocks YouTube channel. Day 1 is over. Most surprise albums of the year 2020 is next. And with the hat flip, I missed it, but see ya!